Bill Murray is back in a holiday classic, dealing with more ghosts, but this time, who gets busted?
Welcome to Retro Film Review. We'd like to take a look back at movies that shaped our generation. We're kicking off the 2021 holiday season with the 1988 classic, Scrooged, which was directed by Richard Donner and stars Bill Murray. I'm Thor.
And I'm Ed. And please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Just hit that little bell notification down there so you never get to miss another video from us.
Definitely. You know what I like about this, Ed, is this takes the classic Christmas Carol classic and flips it on its head.
Oh, it does flip it on its head.
Yes. I mean, you've got Bill Murray, he's coming back. This is his first film after Ghostbusters. You know, he took a little hiatus, trying to see if he wanted to still be in acting and this and like that. But, you know, this is his first thing back, and he's the lead actor in this one.
Right. It's a 4-year hiatus.
Well, yeah, 4-year hiatus.
You know.
But he's carrying the entire film basically by himself.
He basically ad-libbed the whole movie by himself, it looks like.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, he's got a huge supporting cast, which has a lot of named actors in it. Well-known actors and actresses in it, but yeah. I mean, he's carrying the entire film by himself.
Yeah,
in a way.
And you pair him up with Richard Donner, who did Lethal Weapon right before this, did The History of the Goonies and The Superman, and a lot of other great films. You know, you've got David Johansen, otherwise known as Buster Poindexter, and Carol Kane and Karen Allen. I mean, it's a great cast, and what's there not to love? The script. But we'll get to that later.
But there's so many other actors in there. But, I mean, yeah, you're right. Those are like the main supporting actors and actresses for him. But, I mean, Buddy Hackett's in there. Robert Mitchell's in there. Bobcat Goldthwait's in there.
Robert Goulet.
Bob Goulet. Mary Lou Retton. Majors. I mean, we can go on and on.
You got Robert Mitchum. You got William Forsythe. I mean, a lot of just classical 80s film and TV stars.
Yes.
And the Solid Gold Dancers.
We don't have them here. But
yeah.
Well, we talk about sometimes how movies can stand the test of time. This one, unless you're from the 70s or 80s, you're not going to really know who, you know, Lee Majors is, the Fall Guy, the $6 Million Man. You know, Mary Lou Retton, you may know, but, you know, an Olympic star in the 80s. You know, some of these things, the Solid Gold Dancers, they have no relevance right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, it took kind of at the very beginning of it, which is almost kind of like a little prelude to the film, it kind of to set the tone of what this TV station or TV network that Bill Murray works for.
IBC.
That of just kind of what TV was like in the 80s. They were trying to do a whole bunch of variety shows and mashups, and they took a lot of people who were famous in the late 70s and early 80s and tried to put them into variety shows, which to me, the funniest part of the whole movie was them trying to do this Christmas Carol, live action Christmas Carol that had Mary Lou Retton as Tiny Tim, who's, like I said, she's a world-famous gymnast, and the Solid Gold Dancers, which, again, you're not going to have the Solid Gold Dancers in the 1800 London. I mean, it's just not going to be there, but that's just kind of that's what they did in the 80s, was doing things like that. And I do agree with your point. I think all that dates this movie. Yeah. Like, it's very funny at the time because you had all these people in there that you recognize. But yeah, watching it 30 years from now, people don't recognize those people.
If my children watched it, they would have no idea, what any of that meant.
Right.
Not that I did a bad job parenting or showing them films, but
or even like with Bobcat Goldthwait, who
Police Academy. That's what you're mainly known for.
That's what you're known for, yeah. But his character in this was a lot more subdued than what his comic presence is, but you still saw that in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, people wouldn't understand that today.
No.
Because he's still playing his on stage comic presence in this movie.
And I always thought that was his real voice, just like Fran Drescher, with her high-pitched voice. Right. Please don't do that one with the nanny. But, it's their personas that they come up with. And so...
But honestly, I looked this up. He's only 5'6", and Bill Murray's like 6'2". I mean, when they put them together, I mean, it was like David and Goliath there, which I'm sure was intentional. But anyways,
this movie's so great. I know you don't like it as much as I do, but I just love Bill Murray and what he brings to it. But let's jump into. Well, let's start with Bill Murray. We can start going down some of the cast and what they bring to it. You've got a real jerk in Bill Murray in this character who just, all he thinks about is himself. He doesn't care about anybody else. He's just trying to climb to the top. He treats everybody below him horribly unless they can do something for him. And then he sucks up to the executives. I mean, he's an executive, but the owner and all that, and he placates to them, and it's horrible. It's just he's trying to climb the ladder and do whatever he can do to get up there.
Well, yes, and I think that's one of the reasons. Yes, he plays a jerk this whole movie, and my issue with this is that he's almost like evil jerk in this. I mean, he does really mean things. I mean, there's being a jerk, but then there's also like being criminally mean. I mean, yes, it's funny when he talks about when they can't get the antlers to stay on the Christmas mice, and he's like, well, just staple them to their head.
Have you tried staples?
But, it's just, to me, though, like, he plays that well, but I still think he plays it well over the top. And I know that's his Bill Murray and his ad-libs and all this kind of stuff. But to me, he plays it just over the top, and he's just mean throughout the whole movie until the end of it.
There's flashes in there where he's not mean. Different things, or he has a heart, but I guess it's still self-serving. Like when he goes to see his ex-girlfriend, Claire, in the movie, but it's Karen Allen.
Yeah.
He has that soft spot. He reaches out to her first whenever he has his ghostly experience. Well, actually, the phone dials for him.
Yeah, but I think it's out of desperation. It's not like he cares. I think it's just out of desperation. It's the only person that he could connect with in the previous life, but it was still, as you say, self-serving.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was trying to rekindle anything.
And I wonder, because we talked off screen here about the little love interest between him and Karen Allen. I wondered, because he's a jerk, like you said, throughout this thing, but I don't think he started out as a jerk.
No.
I wanted to find out, and I think that's where some of his backstory with her came, is, he's in the mailroom on Christmas Eve, they're having the party at work, and he's still working. He's trying to get ahead, but he's trying to do it, let's say, the right way. And then, he meets Claire, and then all of a sudden, things start picking up for him. He's having a good life with her. Things are picking up at work, and all of a sudden, the studio executive says, hey, let's go out for dinner, this and that. And I don't know if... They must have had problems before then, because he's like, hey, we're going out to dinner with them, and she's like, no, we've got dinner plans we've scheduled for a month. And he's like, no.
Right.
We're going out with him. And she's like, bye.
I'll see you later. Yeah. And I guess maybe it's because it's a truncated movie, they a tight script or whatever. But yeah, I know, I agree. It was just kind of like, this came out of nowhere.
But obviously in any relationship, the stuff builds up over time. And of course, since that's not the main focus of the movie, we don't get to see where the breakdown was over the whole time to that be the final straw.
Yeah.
It's all about you. And he's like, hey, it's time not to be selfish. And it's like, you're being selfish when you're telling her not to be selfish.
Right.
So, but I think she brings a huge, we're talking about Karen Allen, who was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which we reviewed. She brings such a vital role to this, to him and his character. But can we go ahead and talk about that? Where you're like, I didn't like it, where she...
No, I just felt there was no chemistry between them. I mean, I really didn't.
Really?
I felt like there was nothing. I didn't feel... Now, I understand plot-wise why they wanted her to be in there. But as you just kind of talked about, that her character was not very well fleshed out. It was very one-sided. She was the humanitarian helping out people and the shelters and all kind of stuff, and then he was just the executive jerk, which was but that was it. There was nothing else there. I never felt why they connected in the first, because I think initially when they first met on the sidewalk where she bopped him in the head by accident, she was just going to walk off, and then he was just kind of like, hey, can we do this? She was like, I don't know, I don't really want to go to your party, and he's like, what about something else, Now, I will say, she wanted to get Chinese food, and he just said earlier that he hated Chinese food, and I guess he went with her.
Go get Chinese food?
So that was kind of him giving up a piece of himself for that, but it just, I don't know. There was no reason, because she's the one that kind of helped him through this and then showed up at the end, and now everything's hunky-dory, but there was he had always been kind of a jerk to her, and I don't understand why she would even try to come back. I don't see any chemistry of why she stayed there with him.
See, I think he wasn't a jerk all the time to her. I think he was not a jerk at first, that he was genuinely attracted to her, wanted to be with her. That's why, he kept trying, hey, how about we do this, or how about we do that? Are you gonna be at this side of you're gonna come to the store a lot? Because I'll walk on the other side of the street, being silly. And of course, then so she's like, hey, you want some Chinese food? So I think he really liked her. I think his ambitions to grow in the network took over his love for her. He put his own needs. Maybe he didn't think so at first, but he's like, look, I'm doing this. I don't know. We're reaching into it,
But according to the story, it had been like, 14, 15 years?
15 years.
15 years.
I love that scene. He calls her on the phone. Well, the ghost dials the number or whatever, and he's like, I know it's been a while. And he looks at his watch. 15 years. It's like, what does the watch have to do with it? Yeah. But it's just, it's been 15 years.
It's just lumpy time. But I guess that's my whole deal. Is like, it's been 15 years since, and she's just been sitting there thinking about him for 15 years.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I didn't buy that aspect of it. So, and that's okay.
That's just one little plot in this whole thing. But yeah. So, okay. So let's move on to some of his... Well, we can still talk about him or go into some of the other supporting... Like, you want to go on the Ghost?
Yeah, sure.
All right. And I'll be honest with you. When I first saw The Ghost of Christmas Past, I'm like, there's Poindexter. This is when I was younger. And then I read the cast, and it was like David Johansen. I'm like, oh, I thought it was Poindexter. Silly me, it's the same person. When he was a musician, he was known as...
Stage name.
Buster Poindexter. So anyway,
but he was fun.
Oh, yeah. You know who... Go ahead. I think you know what I was going to say about him.
Well, just that he was not originally cast for that role, and...
Sam Kinison.
Yes. Which we had a lot of screaming in the cab.
That's my only impersonation I'll do of him. So, but right. If you know him, that's what he do.
We'll trade off,
bad impersonations. We'll have our own YouTube channel, Bad Impersonations. There we go.
No one will watch. He was fun. Like you said, crass, and it kind of got him to where he needed to go. I do think his little bit of talking about funny was him walking through the door and not letting Bill Murray walk through the door.
I love that gag. I think he did a great job, but I think it might have been just like Bill Murray being over the top. I think he was trying to be a little over the top with what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody's comic timing was just elevated more. And it's probably because of Bill Murray. Yeah. You're trying to... Bill Murray ad-libs so much and puts so much energy into his performances. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But I think everybody is trying to work off of him, and they're all trying to elevate their game with it. And like I said, sometimes it comes across as just kind of being too over the top.
I will say the first time I watched this movie, I thought, especially Bill Murray, was all over the top. But sometimes when you go back and watch a second or a third time, you can kind of put a little bit of that to the side and really dig into the movie.
Yeah.
But that's what I do. So, but yeah, my favorite ghost is actually the second ghost, Ghost of Christmas Present
with Carol Kane.
Carol Kane, which I don't think you liked as much, but just I don't know why. I guess because she came off, she's so small and petite, but she loved to abuse him.
Yeah.
You know, hit him with stuff and this and that, or to bend him to her will. Like, cause he wanted to fight her, like not physically, but combat her and not go. But she's again this little tiny thing, and she look, a toaster, and smashes him in the face.
So I did read that the part where she grabbed his lip and pulled him, that she pulled it so hard that it actually bruised his lip. They had to stop filming for 2 days for it to heal up.
But yeah, I mean, when you watch it, she grabs his ear and flicks
physical comedy.
Yeah, but I guess you don't expect it from someone so small, sweet, and petite, and all that, just to come off like, no, you're gonna do it my way.
Right.
This is how we're gonna do it.
Well, and this is kind of where we get introduced to Bill Murray's family, his brother's family, and then his assistant's family, who is the Tiny Tim of the show, which we didn't mention, but Alfre Woodard, who is a huge actress now, was his assistant back then. It's probably one of her beginning roles, I would assume.
Yep. I don't know if that was her beginning role or one of them, or but she did a great job playing it off, and then being the perfect assistant, where she's frustrated with her own boss, but when anybody else comes in, she maintains that role of defending him and helping him out.
Yeah.
Which has got to be frustrating because, what about my bonus? I'll put yourself down for a towel. No, yeah. Grace, put yourself down for a towel. She's like, what about my bonus? And a face cloth or something like that. It's just like, shoot. But as she's saying that, here comes the big boss, and she goes right back into helping and serving. It's like
right, yeah. So, and then of course, really the Ghost of Christmas Past was really just death.
No, you mean future?
Future, sorry, Ghost of Christmas Future. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had the demons inside us,
which they were kind of funny, especially at the end of it. They were singing. But
didn't they have ornaments or something?
Yes, they had. Yeah.
Did we do that?
So. Okay, let me ask. Then let's go.
That might work with the chicks. Anyway.
So how do you feel about the whole emotional arc that kind of came at the end of the movie?
Well, it's difficult because even though this is a twist on the normal Christmas story, it's the same principle. It's the same thing. So going into it, there's going to be that redemption. There's going to be that I got a change of heart. So for me, it was more like watching it happen versus like the first time you'd watch something that you'd never seen this concept and you go, oh, they had a real life-changing event. To me, it was like, okay, he's going to have a life-changing event. Let's just watch it unfold, especially because the three ghosts. So, and really, even though he had the emotional arc where he changed and he sees things different. I want that Christmas miracle to happen, this and that. How much is he really going to change? Was it just in the moment? You have that life-altering thing, and then all of a sudden, reality kicks back in. Okay, yeah, you did a great job. Now you're back being the executive. There's not a follow-up to this where, 6 months down the road, he's back to being the jerk because people aren't doing what he wants, or he's completely changed. Now his company is helping the shelter with the people. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree totally on that. I don't feel it was earned. Like, I just don't. I know they showed different parts of him being somewhat sentimental throughout the whole things and concern, whether it was for the little boy or whether it was missing his brother. But I think that was still just part of his regular nature. I just, it was almost kind of like at the end of it where it always is, but the Ghost of Christmas Future shows you, being buried.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, oh, I don't want to die. I'm like, well, you're going to die anyways. But, you know, I don't want to die with nobody at my funeral, so let me be nice. And it was just...
Is that what you took from it? That there was nobody there except for his brother? And his...
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just... I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, he had no friends. The only people that showed up was his brother. His brother was the only one that cared for him.
Yeah.
And that there was nobody else there for him. And so he had better change his ways. But
I just took it he didn't want to die.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's some of that goes with all the history of all the other Christmas carols. But I just felt like when he busts through at the end into the set, it went from 0 to 180 right there. I mean, it was just all the way, just I'm all in, and it was just...
See, I'll disagree with you, because to have this change where he's not a jerk and all that other stuff, he's walking down and saying, I want to believe, I believe it now, I want it to happen to me, it can happen to you. Then all of a sudden he sees the solid gold dancer. Oh, she's got the mistletoe. I got to kiss her. It's the law. She's just upholding the law. And she wasn't refusing either. I mean, she pulled him in.
She was not.
But it's like, he found that love that he wanted for, because right after that, he's like, but there's that special one, Claire, blah, blah, blah. So, but it's like, you had that change of heart, but the first thing you did was go kiss some other woman when you really wanted Claire. It's like, the woman should have been, if I would have done it, the woman should have said, hey, mistletoe, come here. And he's like, no, because there's this one special woman that I want, and you're not her. So Claire, come down here.
Yeah.
So I thought that was over the top. Of course, I know you think the whole movie was, but I think, he had that change of heart. He comes out there, and then it's over the top, and especially I did not like that mistletoe scene with that one, obviously. But then it gets into, the little boy finally talks, and everything's kumbaya. But I do like how the Ghost of Christmas Past, he shows up as the taxi driver. She's like, can you get me to the IBC building? He goes, which floor? Can you get me there in 3 minutes? Which floor? So, then everything works out. And then, of course, he ad-libs the thing at the very end, with everybody singing,
Yeah.
Everybody on this side, the men. Okay, they're real men. All that's ad-libbed. But what do you think about the emotional arc over? Or I guess you kind of just said that.
Yeah, I just think that it's not there. I mean, I think it's there on paper, but I don't know. I feel like you just went from nothing to everything, and it wasn't earned. It was almost like it was, I don't know, fake. That he just kind of came at the end, and then all of a sudden I'm happy to everybody. And I kind of like what you said, that you don't get to see other Christmas Carol stories that they, Ebenezer actually, you see him trying to give up his money to go help other people, or handing, handouts to the poor kids on the street, or having them go buy the Christmas turkey to go take down to the shelter, or take down his family, and he goes and visits his family, and he goes and helps Tiny Tim and his Bob Cratchit, who is working for him. And so you see those follow-ups with that. Right. You don't see that at all here. You just kind of see he just kind of gets everything he wants at the end. And I know it's for the movie, and they do this little song and dance kind of at the end of it, but his boss, who is getting ready to get me on the phone, he's fired, and next you see him dancing with his wife at the end of it. I'm like, well, did he fire him? Did he not? Honestly, it would have been a nice fault. It would have been that he got fired, and now he's working with Claire at the shelter doing, good things. I mean, that would have been a good follow-up.
That would have been a good thing, and then to show him still being happy with a new...
Right, accepting his new role with his new life. I mean, I think that would have been a better ending versus this just parade of, diarrhea of the mouth that he had at the end of it.
Well, he did, when you say giving out money to Tiny Tim or this or that or helping out, I mean, Elliot Loudermill, who was Bobcat Goldthwait, he did hire him back. He's like, I'm giving you, so he was giving some money out. You're going to help me this. And then I guess he did give his his assistant, her secretary or whatever, a bonus because when the Ghost of Christmas Present, she's like, you need to give her a raise or something. She might be due for it. And I think that's when she's bending his ear or doing something. Okay, yeah. So I think maybe he helped out then, but yeah, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Like to the extent you're talking about, go get the biggest turkey out there and keep the money for yourself.
I just think it would have been better if you actually saw him versus hanging out like on camera for the world to see. If he actually interacted with the people in his life that actually meant to him, but like, this is why I changed my view on life, with his brother and with, more than just Claire rushing to him instead of him going to see Claire.
Yeah.
So
bringing a whole truckload of food or blankets or something.
I mean, there's people working on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So.
Which, you know what is funny? Talking about them working on Christmas Eve. This movie, when they were filming it, the studio wanted them to film on Christmas Day.
Really?
Yes. This is the trivia. So, I mean, if it's wrong, I apologize. This is what I looked up. That the studio said, I guess they were trying to do some, get it by a certain date or this and that. And the studio said, no, you got to have them work Christmas Day for maybe this certain scene or something. And said Richard Donner outfoxed them and fired everybody on the 24th. He said, all y'all are fired. Show up on the 26th. So then when everybody showed back up on the 26th,
you're all hired.
That's great. That's what that's the trivia.
That's the Christmas spirit I'm looking for.
Yeah, I got fired the day before Christmas. Thanks, boss.
Yeah. All right, final thoughts.
Even after all we talked about, I still watch this every year. I think it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it at least once. I will say that. It's worth a watch just to kind of know what Bill Murray's filmography is and kind of see where. And if you know Bill Murray, you kind of know the character to expect. I mean, no matter what movie he's playing in Ghostbusters, What About Bob, Groundhog's Day, it's the same kind of character, like typecast. That's what he brings to it, and he always has that change. But again, I really like it. I like a lot of the supporting cast members, maybe even more so. But
yeah,
I recommend it. I say go see it.
All right, I give it a watch it with reservations. Know what you're getting yourself into. All right, and with that, we appreciate you watching, and come back again for some more retro film review.
Bye.